Alright, good morning year 2. Today's lesson is about quarters. Now, before I start, last lesson we learnt about halves. So can anyone tell me what a half is or what they know about halves? Yes, that's right. A half is when an object or collection are partitioned into two equal parts. So today we're looking at quarters. So our learning intention today is we need to recognize how to recognize and partition into quarters. And our learning goal is I will be successful when I can demonstrate how shapes and collections can be partitioned into quarters and identify how many quarters make one whole. Alright, so let's look at our cake. So how much of this cake is coloured in? Well, we know that one part of the cake is coloured in, and there are two parts of the cake. That means that if we have two equal groups, so that means only half the cake is coloured in. So I want you to quickly grab your mini whiteboards, and on your whiteboards you're going to write A, B or C, or a mixture, and you're going to write which ones are halves. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that, and then you're going to show me your whiteboards when you're done. That's right, so A and C are both halves. Can anyone tell me why A and C are both halves? That's right, because they are both split into two equal parts. But if B is split into two parts, why is that not a half? That's right, B, one part of B is larger than the other part. So that means they're not halves. They're not equal halves. So right now I've got half a circle on my screen. So what would happen if I split that circle in half again? Well, look at that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces in our circle. 4 equal parts in our circle. So that means we have 4 quarters. So if we have 4 equal pieces, or 4 quarters, that means we have one whole. And the same for our rectangle. If we have 4 equal pieces in our rectangle, we have 4 quarters, which means we have one whole rectangle. Okay, so today's job is Amy's mum wants us to decorate a cake for Amy's birthday party. So she wants the following decorations. She wants 2 quarters of our cake to be filled with jelly beans, 1 quarter of the cake to be filled with sprinkles, and 1 quarter of the cake to be filled with strawberries. Now, who can tell me what our first step would be? Yeah, that's right. We need to first break our cake into quarters, or cut our cake into quarters. So I'm going to halve my cake, and then I'm going to halve my cake again. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. That means I have 4 quarters in my cake. So our first step is 2 quarters of the cake needs to be filled with jelly beans. Well, I have 1 quarter here and I have 2 quarters there. So I'm going to fill this quarter and this quarter with jelly beans. So I'm going to put my jelly beans on. Now, that's the first job done. Our next job is 1 quarter of the cake needs to be filled with sprinkles. So I'm going to select this quarter of my cake and I'm going to put my sprinkles onto this quarter. Now, our last job is 1 quarter of the cake needs to be filled with strawberries. So I'm going to select this quarter up here and I'm going to put my strawberries on my cake. Now, once you look at that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of our cake have been decorated. So 4 quarters of our cake has been decorated. So that means we have decorated one whole piece of cake. So now we're looking at fish. As you can see in our little fish tank here, there's a lot of fish in our fish tank. So I want to give them a bit more room. So what we're going to do is we're going to place 1 quarter of our fish into their new fish tank. Now, we can't, like the cake, just halve it and halve it again. We can't just cut our fish up. So what we need to do is, we need to count how many fish we have in our fish tank. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 fish in our fish tank. So can anyone remind me how many parts are in one hole? How many quarters are in one hole? That's right, there are 4 quarters in one hole. So that means I need to split my fish into 4 equal collections. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's circle the first 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's circle the next selection. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of fish now. So now I'm going to pick one group of fish to go into the new tank. So let's pick the green group. Let's move them into our new tank. Look how much room they have now. Alright, so we're going to grab our whiteboards out and we're just going to check for understanding. So we're just writing the answers, and then once you're done, you're going to hold up your whiteboard and show me. Okay, so our first question is, a quarter has how many equal parts? So in a whole, how many quarters? That's right, it has 4 equal parts. So again, one whole has how many quarters? So we're going to rub it off. One whole has how many quarters? That's right, one whole has 4 quarters. So if we have 4 quarters, is it important that each quarter is equal? Is that important? Good. So yes, it is important because each piece or partition needs to have a fair share to make one whole. Alright, now we're going to partition our circle into quarters. Good job. So the way I like to partition my circle into quarters, I like to cut it in half and then cut it in half again. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. Oh, now we've got a chocolate bar. Now I need to cut my chocolate bar into quarters. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of chocolate that need to be broken into 4 quarters. Good. So everyone should have, so we're going to split our chocolate bar in half, and then we're going to split each half in half again. So you should have 2 pieces in each quarter. Alright, now we've got some dogs. So what I'm going to get you to do, instead of drawing the dogs out, we're just going to draw some X's to represent the dogs. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 rows of dogs with 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs in each row. So we need to partition our dogs into quarters. So I'll let you do that quickly, and you're going to show me your whiteboards when you're done. Great, so in each quarter we should have 3 dogs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal groups with 1, 2, 3 dogs. Alright, so can anyone think what other things can we partition into quarters? So I'll get you to quickly write down what you think we can partition into quarters. Just one thing. Good, so we can partition oranges. We can partition fruit, good. We can partition cake. Time's an interesting one because we can split our clock into quarters. And chocolate. We can partition our chocolate into quarters and groups of animals. Alright, so you're going to get a piece of paper coming around, and it's going to have columns. And you've got 3 columns. The first column is I can show one whole. The second column is I can make halves. The third column is I can make quarters. So you're also getting a sheet of shapes coming around. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all our shapes, and then your group. So you're going to work in your groups. You cut out all your shapes, and then hands on heads when you have finished your shapes. Great. So in our first column it says I can show one whole. So can everyone hold up one whole circle? Good, so now we're going to stick one whole circle. Good, so now we're going to stick one whole circle in our first column. I can show one whole circle. Now our next column says I can show halves, or I can make halves. So we've got full circles at the moment, so I need you to make your circle into halves. So how many pieces are in halves? That's right, 2 equal pieces in halves. So I'll get you to cut your circle into halves, glue it into the right column, and then show me your paper. Hold up your paper when you're done. Good, so your halves should look like this. 1, 2 equal pieces. Now our last one says I can make quarters. So we've done our whole, we've done our half, now we have to make quarters. So how many pieces are in quarters? Yeah, that's right, there's 4 pieces in quarters. So cut your circle into quarters, stick it down, and hands on heads and you're ready to move on. Good, so the top row should now start to look like this. We've got 1 whole circle, we've got 2 halves, and we've got 4 quarters. Now, I want you to do the rest with the square and the rectangle. And once you're done, I want you to hold up your paper. So we're going to finish it off. So you're going to get your square, you're going to cut it in half, and then you're going to cut it in quarters. And then you're going to do the same for your rectangle. Once you're done, just show me what you've got. Great, so everyone's sheet should look like this. So we've got our whole square, we've got 2 halves of our square, and we've got 4 quarters of our square. Then we've got a rectangle, then we've got 2 halves of our rectangle, and then we've got 4 quarters of our rectangle. Alright, so I'm going to get you to pass these down to the end of your table. I'm going to collect these and we're going to hang these up around the room. Okay, so our next activity is that we are pizza makers at Domino's. So our job, so everyone's going to get 1 pizza and some toppings, right? So our first job is we need to cut our pizza into quarters. When you cut the pizza out first, then cut it into quarters. We're going to glue the quarters into our math book, right? And then we've got a little recipe card here. And our recipe card tells us what toppings we need to put on each quarter. And once you're done, you're going to write underneath your pizzas what's on it. So the first step is add bacon to 1 quarter. So I've cut my pizza out, I've cut it into quarters. Now I'm going to find the bacon. I've got my bacon here. Now I'm going to glue it to 1 quarter of my pizza. So once I've glued it down, in my book, I'm going to write 1 quarter bacon. Alright, I'm going to do that for the rest. So everyone's going to get 2 pieces of paper. Okay. So for you guys, I'm going to give you a pizza, the same idea. You're going to cut it into quarters, but you don't get a recipe card. And what you get is the choice to put whatever toppings you want anywhere. So you could put pepperoni and pineapple on the same quarter, and you can write 1 quarter pepperoni, 1 quarter pineapple, or you can put pepperoni on 2 quarters of the pizza. But if we have 2 quarters, that's also a half of the pizza. So I want you to really think outside the box, and if you want, you can even draw your own toppings. As long as you write underneath each quarter what it is, okay? Okay, for you guys, what I've got is our pizza. So you're going to cut, it's got lines on the pizza, so you're going to cut along the lines. And we've got our pizza into quarters. So what you're going to do, we've got our recipe card here. Now our recipe card is split into blocks. So you're going to cut out the block that says add bacon to 1 quarter of the pizza. So you're going to find your bacon and put it on one of the pieces, and then you can glue it all into your book, and then you're going to glue the card underneath the quarters, alright? So if you have any questions, just hands up and just ask me. Otherwise, yeah. Alright, so I'll give you 10 minutes to complete that. So once you're done, I want hands on heads to show me that you're ready to move on. Alright, now that everyone's ready to move on, our last activity is our exit slip. So let's go over our learning our learning goals for the lesson. So our first learning goal was demonstrate how shapes and collections can be partitioned into quarters. Do you think we were successful doing that today? Yeah? Why do you think so? That's right. We partitioned our pizza into quarters. We partitioned the group of fish into quarters. We're successful. And our second learning goal is identify how many quarters make one whole. Now, can anyone tell me that right now? How many quarters make one whole? That's right, 4 quarters make one whole. So I think we can get ticks for both of those. I think we were very successful today. So right now I'm going to hand out an exit slip. And on the exit slip, we're just going to answer the questions and to show me that you've been very successful today. And then once you're done, you're going to pop the exit slip into your book, close where you've put your pizza, close it up and leave it on your desk. And I'll come around and collect it.